Hi, I'm Jay Moore, and welcome to One More Customer, coming to you from the Tarkenton Studios in Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you for taking time to join us today, and thanks to our hosts and venues for making this networking event possible. As our presenters make their way into the studio, let me briefly introduce them to you. Fran Tarkenton is an NFL Hall of Fame quarterback, a serial entrepreneur, and a small business advocate. Fran led the Minnesota Vikings to 3 Super Bowl appearances and retired holding every major passing record. However, his passion has always been for small business. From the early years of his football career until today, Fran has built more than 20 successful companies. And since 1996, he's been an advocate for small business owners across North America, working with and being honored by organizations including DECA, the U.S. Small Business Administration, the NFL, the University of Georgia, and more. Our special guest this month, Dan Thurmon, is a keynote speaker, author, entrepreneur, performance expert, and yes, professional acrobat and juggler. Dan has delivered thousands of keynote presentations on 6 continents, and his programs have educated Fortune 500 companies, educators, and troops in Afghanistan and Iraq. Dan's off-balance, on-purpose philosophy helps people embrace uncertainty, initiate positive changes, and move more confidently through work and life transitions. Dan has achieved the highest honors in his industry, including induction into the prestigious Speakers Hall of Fame. And today, he brings his insights to our studio. So sit back and enjoy Dan and Fran in this edition of One More Customer.
Flash wide to the left, Gilliam in the slot to the left. First and goal from the 7. Fran rolls to the right, dumps it out, caught by Foreman, touchdown! Fran Tarkenton's record-breaking 291st career touchdown pass.
Think about that in your life now. Who's in control of your life? You are.
Welcome. Our mission here is to always bring you information and knowledge from people that experience failure, greatness, problem solvers, but they've got ideas about how to make their life work that we can learn from. All the great people that I've ever known in business or sports were open to coaching and mentoring. Our mission here for you is not just to have a 25-minute conversation, but bring people that can give you ideas. They can help you along in your journey. And today, Dan Thurmon has written a book, Off Balance on Purpose, Work-Life Integration That's Possible, Not Perfect. Aren't we all trying to find that balance in our own life to be able to be more productive, more helpful to others? And Dan, I love your title. I know your background is one of great accomplishment, but tell us about the book and tell us what led up to the book.
Well, I wrote the book, Fran, because I'm a corporate keynote speaker and author, and I've been around a lot of great executives and in organizations. And I kept hearing this idea that work-life balance or achieving balance is an important aspect of their mission. But then they had no real plan for how to do it. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized balance is something you don't achieve. It's not attainable. And pursuing balance or holding that as the standard in your life to get to this moment of perfection in the future is only setting you up for frustration and for feeling guilty, because really we must be off balance, initiating changes that lead to growth in our lives, both personally and professionally. So balance is not what you get. Balance is what you do. It's about making choices.
I don't know if many of us even think about that, right? We think about how do we get through our day? How do we do our work? How do we interact with other people? How do we solve personal problems, family problems, business problems? I don't even know if I've ever thought about balance. It makes a lot of sense to me. Get me a little deeper into that.
Sure. So I think it comes naturally to you. The more I get to know you, the more I realize how you've integrated these principles throughout your life. And I would say that people do think about it, but they generally wait until there's an issue. They wait until there's a problem, until something breaks, whether it be their health or a failed marriage, or relationships with their kids that they realize just aren't as productive. But as business owners, as entrepreneurs, when you really set out to craft not only the legacy of your business, but when you want to create a legacy of your life and how you impact others, I believe that when we design a life of intention and we recognize our personal ambitions as well as our professional goals are all interconnected. And that's really the key.
How did you get here?
How did I get here?
How did this happen? What's your background been in your life?
I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My grandmother in Chicago, Southwest Side, where I grew up, ran her own business, making drapery for others in the community around Chicago. My mother's an artist and self-made, self-taught artist, and so all my life I was helping her, sell at these fairs and festivals and learning about her business. She did a mail order business as well, and it was at one of those festivals, actually a Renaissance festival, when I was 11 years old. I met a juggler. I learned how to juggle. I learned how to begin performing. I started to develop a one-man show. And so even in my teens, my early teens, I was performing. I had started my own business, doing corporate entertainment. I grew that business through high school. That's how I paid for college, like you at the University of Georgia.
Yeah.
And all along that path, as I was pursuing business education, I was an entrepreneur. I was also very interested in this pursuit of work-life balance, but also just personal development. And so I consumed volumes of material from great speakers and authors, and ultimately integrated that into my own philosophy and began to teach.
So at a young age, you figured out that you had to learn things. You wanted to accomplish things and do things and be successful. And so out of this comes this. Really, how you've lived your life has come this knowledge base.
Right. I think you discovered this with football and with your other business endeavors when you become excellent at something, when you pursue excellence, when you're just on that path, what you recognize, if you expand your vision a little bit, is that everything you undertake is really a metaphor or a representation, a study of everything else that you can pursue, right? And then we learn that throughout our lives. For example, in my work, I still integrate acrobatics and juggling and these principles, but I use them to teach how we can manage our focus even while we're handling multiple objectives, how we can look for the patterns of how things fit together. And so what the result of that is a very engaging experience with the audience, but also a very visual representation of these real life skills that we must master to bring out our best and to really impact others.
So how does this help me overcome my own doubt of how good I can be, or how productive I can be, or how successful I can be?
Well, I think it's really understanding that you're engaged in the process, and the goal is not to be perfect at anything. So when we involve our ego,
I'm not trying to seek perfection?
No, you're trying not to be perfect, but to be present, to be truly in the moment. And when you think about it, feeling guilty about what you can't do or what you haven't done or the other aspects of your life that you're not attending to at those moments.
Or regretting something I did that wasn't good.
Right. It's all preventing you from being where you are. And wouldn't it be awesome if we could show up professionally to our responsibilities and to really empowering our teams and serving our customers, but also to our families and loved ones, being there, being present in that moment with the full complement of who we are, and understanding that you are not three different people. You don't have two lives, your personal life and your professional life. We've got one life here where we have an opportunity to learn and grow and serve. And that is the impact that we must make. And so it's this bigger vision of how we can connect what matters most. Your professional pursuits, your relationships, your health, right? Your mental health and physical health, your spiritual growth, whatever that means to various people, but pursuing that higher purpose. And then just the aspects of you that make you who you are, your interests.
All right, now I think we're getting somewhere. You're telling me I've got to develop my own self to be able to help somebody else. I've got to take care of my body. You see the football players now. I've got to be in good shape. Basketball players, the great athletes. I've got to take care of my body. And so we've got to take care of our health.
Well, if you're in it for the long run, right? If we want a sustainable version of success.
But if I have bad health and I'm not taking care of myself and I am not working out and being healthy in my diet and so forth, I'm not going to have the energy or the drive to be able to be successful.
Yeah, and to be there for the people you care about, or for your team, or for your customers. Right? It's all, again, it's all connected. And that also goes to, you mentioned exercise, nutrition, rest, right? Like how you sleep or how you renew. Some people...
I sleep 9 hours a night.
Do you really now? That's awesome. For me, it's more like 7 is my magic window, and if I get less than that, I feel like I'm fighting it, right? But I've learned to also compensate with things like meditation, right? To recharge.
Tell me about that.
Well, it's a way to practice a sort of spiritual discipline, but it's not really connected to any faith base. But any kind of, there are many various ways you can meditate, but you'd be amazed how going deep into just a quieting of the mind and to stillness can help recharge you when you feel run down, and then you can reapproach and reengage the tasks and challenges in your life with greater focus and with a different perspective. Sometimes the problems that you've been struggling against, when you can step away, and we do this different ways. So it doesn't have to be sitting quietly in a dark room. We meditate through exercise or through walking or through being among nature. It's those breaks that help you to recharge.
We all have to have some self-drive, development to be able to be more helpful to our family, to our friends, to be successful in whatever line of work we do. And that's really what you're saying.
Right.
I've got to get myself in physical, mental, spiritual shape to be able to do that.
Right.
And that's what your book, I would assume, helps us think through that.
Right, that's what it does. And actually the materials that the leaders have at the sessions that they can share with attendees who are listening to this message, it will help you understand the various spheres of your life, how to set goals and ambitions in each one, and how to connect them to each other so that they're not competing. You see, the traditional concept of balance...
help me with that.
Yeah, the traditional concept of balance is the idea that you have to compartmentalize your life, protect your time in each area so that they don't interfere with each other, all these pursuits, it never works because there's not enough time in your waking life to handle everything individually. And it doesn't apportion evenly. We spend a lot more time at work than we do, for example, with our health or with other aspects. So the key to that is, rather than seeing those as mutually exclusive, we must flip that idea and see these various integral, vital pieces of our life success as mutually supportive, and say, well, how is it I can connect my relationships, my family, to my work or to my health? How does my health, like you mentioned, affect my ability to work? Or are there aspects of my job that and my mission professionally that challenge my health? And if so, how do I flip that? And then for business leaders and for entrepreneurs, business owners, the bigger issue, and what I help my organizations and corporate clients and in the executive coaching that I do, is not only for the individuals, but understand, how does this become a culture? How is it that you can support people at work so that they can grow multidimensionally, and then they can show up to the job, not just with their work self, but with their full self.
All right, I've always had a problem when the athletes of my era or before or now, they get up and they've won a championship or they've done well, and it's my religion is first, my family is second, and football is third or basketball is third. I've never understood. I want all of these areas of my life to be 100%. Not 50% here or priority here. My priority is for all these things to work. And I don't know how to separate that and say, well, this is first and this is second and this is third.
It comes down to the moment. It comes down to the challenge that you're facing right then. And being off balance on purpose means that you are biased toward what matters in the moment, and you are focused on what you intend to create intentionally, so that purpose driven, but also bringing a higher sense of purpose, mission to what you do every day. Like if you're trying to solve a complex business issue, you're going to be off balance in that moment on that challenge.
I like in the moment, because I don't think Nick Foles when he
Right.
was playing against Tom Brady and the great defense of the New England Patriots, was thinking about his family, his religion, his faith, or anything outside of right here is where I am. I'm playing in this game, trying to do the things that allow my team to make a first down, to score a touchdown, to help us win a game.
And then riffing off of that, and we should ask him, we should ask Nick Foles what he thinks, but I would believe that his connection to his family and his spiritual growth, whatever that may be, to other aspects of his life that he does connect with, supports him in that moment and enables him to be completely present.
I think to have great success, you've got to have a healthy state of time or life. I mean, you've got to take care of yourself again, and whatever that might mean is to how can you go out and be productive if your mind is cluttered with hate and greed and all the things that are not good for us? Or how can I go out and be successful if I'm not going to have discipline of diet, of working out, of making myself a healthier person by doing things as right as I can, and all of these things have got to be so.
I think you could still do it, but you're just not consistent. You're not consistent if you're focused on the wrong things, and that's what we want.
What are the right things?
We want repeatable success. So let's go back to that analogy. So in juggling, for example, the 5 spheres, and I actually illustrate this in my speech, the spheres of your work, your relationships, your health, your spiritual growth, and your personal interests, the things you just love to do and are unique to you. Rather than see them as separate, we try to see them together in this concept of a pattern, right? And so if I were to physically juggle these 5 balls for you, or maybe we can cut away to that on the B-roll, what you'll see is this infinite loop. And only can you execute at that level if you focus up on the targets, on what are the throws. For example, juggling is not about making perfect catches, it's about making perfect throws. You have to execute, and it's the same when you're trying to win a game or when you're trying to grow a business or create repeatable customer experiences. What are our targets? What are our goals? Are we doing what's important and in a consistent way to reach those goals? And if not, we need to adjust. And so we ask that question in each of these areas, and then we begin to see what that pattern looks like. And again, your materials will help you do this.
Is it different for different people?
Oh, absolutely. We are all unique, right? So we all have different challenges. We also have different gifts. We have different strengths. We have different abilities to focus on certain things, or to be more detail-oriented, or to be more creative. And so we bring those contributions to the whole design.
All right, we've got different skills. I don't have the skill of Dan Barrow, the head of neurosurgery at Emory University. So I don't even want to go there. I've got to find where my skill set is, right?
Yeah.
To be able to go and pursue that and not go above or beyond or sideways from what I am comfortable doing.
Exactly. And the other thing about this loop or this pattern, it creates this kind of infinity sign.
Okay.
Which is, again, a nice visual illustration when you do it on stage. But what it helps us think about is that you'll never reach your full potential. I mean, when I was in 8th grade, my teachers called my parents in and said, he's not reaching his full potential. And I thought, that's just ridiculous. I was in 8th grade. Why would you reach your full potential, right? But the truth is, you never do in any of those areas in your life, because as long as you're alive, you have an opportunity to learn, to grow.
If you've reached your full potential, then you cannot learn anymore. I don't believe, I learn every day.
People don't run out of an ability to learn something new. Never in human history has somebody tried to learn something and ran out of disk space, right?
And aren't you smarter today than you were a month ago?
I am, because like you, I'm engaged in the process. What we run out of is interest. We run out of willingness to learn something new.
That's so important. The willingness to push the envelope and learn more. And I think maybe for me, the core of that is I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
When I played 18 years in the National Football League, my last year, I played had a lot of coaches, learned a lot of things. But today in football, the ones that have carried on, they know so much more about it than I did.
Yeah.
I mean, they're light years beyond where we are, and that's the way the world works, right?
And as a business owner, if you're not willing to humble yourself and to learn and to demonstrate you don't have the answer, think about the message that sends to your team and to the culture that you're trying to create. When we create a learning environment where everyone's engaged in the challenge of trying to figure it out and solve problems, which means making mistakes. It means going through that process of failure quickly so that we can debrief these answers. And instead of trying to hide our mistakes, we showcase what didn't work, and we all learn from it.
Do you think, or is it that humility is really as important an asset as we could have?
Oh, 100%. I really believe that without humility, the flip side of that is ego, and you're just leading with the belief that you have all the answers. And that's a position from which you can't change, you can't grow, and you really can't effectively lead. And that is the key, is developing the daily disciplines to reject the forces that will bring you down and cause you to look at limitations. And instead, recommit to what's possible for you. One of the images I have in my mind, I'm 50 this year and I'm still doing handstand push-ups and standing back tucks in my work. I want to be able to do that when I'm 60. I want to do it standing back tuck when I'm 60. That's a goal. But the bigger goal is I want to play with my grandkids. Right now I don't have grandkids. My son's 18, my daughter's 15, but I have this vivid image in my mind.
I've got grandkids. You can, I'll bring them over to you sometime.
Let's do it. I want to be able to get in there with them, right? Yeah. To be physical, to be healthy and vibrant in a way that is sustaining for the long period of time. And I think that will help me serve my family. It'll help me serve my business. It'll help me grow in every aspect spiritually and in other aspects as well.
As we help our people here on balance and so forth, I really think all of this is so relevant and good and healthy that maybe one of my top goals every morning that I get up and do during the day in my life, I want to solve problems for other people. I want to do things for other people that helps their life. When I can focus myself away from me and to them, I think Tom Brady goes and does all these things to help his team win.
Yes.
I don't think it's just about selfish old Tom. I just want all the glory and all the. I want to push this out. Not I want to get wealthy from. I want to help other people. When I take that mantra, I'm a better person.
And the beauty and irony is when you are on purpose, right? When you are about serving others, about giving that gift of who you are to lift others up. As we talked about earlier, that's when the best opportunities show up for you. Because
now it's easy to say, help our grandkids and our kids and our moms and our dads and so forth. But we got to go beyond that. We got to help everybody. How about help the person who maybe is your worst enemy? Start
at home, expand to your community, and then look for other opportunities, whether it's passing a stranger on the street or in a store. Develop that spirit and notice that it is impossible to give more than you receive in life. And so when you're oriented toward that purpose that you bring to touching and impacting and improving the lives of others, you will benefit in many ways that really you can't even anticipate.
The more outward we are, for me, the more outward I've been, the more active I've been with other people helping them, the much better person I am and the much greater joy I get out of that and satisfaction. And that's what you're saying in your book, is it?
Absolutely.
Promote this book one more time.
Sure. Off Balance on Purpose. It is available in all the normal locations, Amazon, also on my website, danthurmon.com. So be sure to check that out. It's available in hardcover, in Kindle, in Audible. So however you choose to consume that, check it out.
Thank you, buddy.
You got it, buddy.
Good to have you. And thank you for joining us. And you're sitting there with some of my business partners and, talk to them and let them tell you how we're helping protect and grow small businesses. And come back and join us again next month.